Sports podcast.
Welcome to the All Sports Podcast with me, Matt, and today, Joel. How are you, mate?
Hey, Matt. All good, man. How are you?
All good, thank you. And Femi, how are you?
I'm good, mate. All good. How are you doing, bro?
Doing really good off the back of the NBA Finals conclusion.
Mate, amazing. What was that prediction?
Our prediction.
I'm pretty sure both of you guys predicted that it was going to be over. It went to 2-2, I think.
Yeah.
After that, you were like, "Oh, they're just going to run through them."
Mate, that aged so badly.
It did, yeah. So it went 1-1. So Pacers won the first game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it went 1-1, and we were saying that after OKC got that first game and it went to 1-1, that it was going to be a blowout. Momentum shifted. We saw no way back. But credit to Pacers and what they've done since January. They were the team on form for the last 5 months, and it proved. And they put up a phenomenal fight against the number one seeded team. And yeah, OKC came through in the end and won 4-3, but it was not a foregone conclusion, like we and many others thought that it may be, especially playing in Indiana. That home crowd advantage there was huge, and their players turned up to it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like, as you rightly said, we predicted, the series to end in 5 games, and like they really surprised us. And credit to them, man. Like they came out firing all throughout the season. They proved us wrong. Starting with obviously the star player Halliburton, he was called overrated, and he showed that he's truly a star in this league. And you got to give them, a tremendous amount of credit. Even Pascal Siakam, he went from the Toronto Raptors, and of course he had that whole period where basketball stopped being fun. And I think he was speaking about in an interview. You get traded, you literally have to move your whole life apart from a different, from one state to another, and you have no control of your future. So for him to still find joy in basketball and even make it through to the NBA final, like, it's just amazing for them. But speaking about the final in itself, Game 7, as we all, love basketball when it comes to Game 7s, it was a good game. Started off really well. Halliburton, he got hot as well. He went 3. I think it was a 3 for 4.
Yeah.
Was it 3?
Well, he went 3 in a row, but it was three and 4. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 and 4. So like he gives you 9 points. He got
3 and 4 on 3-pointers. That is, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And he got hot. So you could already tell the sort of game, he was heading into, his mindset heading into as well, because the previous game, he struggled, which wasn't too much of his fault because he had the calf strain as well. So, for him to come into Game 7 with that mentality of, just push through it, whilst he's injured. Like, you never get, like, Game 7s, you never get to play a Game 7 very often in an NBA final. Like, this is the one opportunity he got. He took it. He knew the risk. He understood it. But still, he wanted to play. He wanted to be there for his team. And unfortunately, it's cost him as well. It's probably cost him, the following season, being out with the ACL injury. And I felt so sorry for him, man. Like, the tears on his face, the pain, you could just tell it hurt so much. It just reminded me.
It looks like ruptured Achilles, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So it reminded me of obviously different injury in different sport, where Ronaldo hurt his knee in the final against France, and Portugal played France in the Euros. But it was similar in that sense. Like, you're the star player, your team needs you, and then obviously the result was different in this sense. But I felt so sorry for him, man. Honestly, like, I saw his dad as well in tears. It's devastating. Like, you work all this way, to get to an NBA final, and then to have that taken away from you, through injury. Like, but still, you got to give credit to OKC. They didn't let it fluster them. Like, they came out firing. SGA has been phenomenal all throughout the series. I think even the whole season. The last time we had a player who was the top scorer, also the MVP player for the season, and the NBA Finals MVP, was 15 years ago. And I'm pretty sure that was LeBron James. I mean, that even speaks to the longevity of how long LeBron's been playing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, someone fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it's LeBron. But either way, like, just like the whole game was fun. The fact that Indiana as well were literally a point ahead going to halftime, it just speaks on how competitive it was. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't a game that had a lot of eyes on it, given the market of both teams, but still it was exciting. The true basketball fans really enjoyed this one because
Well,
it was good.
that's what's interesting. Obviously, Halliburton came off in the first quarter, and Pacers were still up by 1 point at halftime. And that's what's interesting as we talk about what if with Halliburton, would they have won, would they have lost? Well, they were in the lead without him. He played 7 minutes, and those 7 minutes he did contribute a lot. Those nine points counted a lot, and there was a lot of momentum with the Pacers at that point.
Mhm.
And OKC wrestled it back, and it was very scrappy in the first quarter and a half. But the players that came on, like TJ McConnell specifically, he was phenomenal. He played an incredible game, played the game of his life,
There you go.
knowing what they needed to do to turn up in place of Halliburton. And it was a shame. It was a shame that they lost out. But the intensity from the bench from OKC was also there as well. So although Pacers bench had to come on because of Halliburton's injury, OKC and what we've seen from them all year with a young and deep bench, that's exactly what they did. You had Alex Caruso came on, and he was so intense in the third quarter specifically. The steals and the turnovers that he was getting just changed the dynamic of the game. And after the third quarter, it looked like a done deal. They got 18 points from turnovers in the third quarter, and Pacers got none.
Yeah.
So that was the big momentum shift for me. Third quarter was where it was all won, and it was done on turnovers, and it was that intensity that they came out after halftime in the locker room. Don't know what was said. Would love to know what was said. Hopefully we'll see that in the Netflix documentary following Shea, but that's where it was won for me.
Absolutely, man. Like, they're the best defensive team, in the league, and they showed it. All throughout the season, they have been dogs when it comes to the defensive play. Like, they're just like they actually chase and die for loose balls, and as you rightly pointed out, like Caruso, he's almost the head of the snake in that regard. Like, he anchors his team, like he pushes them, to think defensively, to think that being defensive wins championships, and they proved that. You know what I mean? Like, they came out firing. They're just a really special team, and like, they have some ball players, like some all-star ball players. I mean, Chet Holmgren, he is one for not just one for the future, but one for now. Like, we're making comparisons with him and Wembanyama the other day because obviously they're both
Rightly so.
also really gifted bigs, and they just play like point guards. Like, he's a special player. Jalen Williams, another special player, 40 points in Game 5, which was huge as well. So you got to give him a lot of credit, man. And the thing about Jalen Williams as well is his mindset heading into these games. It's like, you drop 40 points in Game 5, and then coming into Game 6, you're minus 40. Like, you are almost opposite ends of the play, but going into Game 7 to be able to reset, to refocus, go in the mindset that, listen, we have to dominate, we have to play to our very best, especially in front of the home crowd. That it is, it's phenomenal, man. You have to give them a lot of credit. Like, they've been great all season. They've been beautiful to watch. They've been fun as well. I've really enjoyed watching them play, and they're a really young team. So I think in the last 7 years, we've had 7 different teams win the NBA championships, and which also credit to Adam Silver. He's trying to make this league a lot more competitive. A lot of the bigger markets in the past.
A lot of manipulation going on to make that happen.
Allegedly.
Right, okay.
Alleged manipulation. Like, listen, Dallas getting the number 1 pick is crazy to me, but listen, we're not going to go there. But yeah, like, just he's tried to make this league a lot more competitive, probably slightly to their own detriment in terms of the market, because now literally anyone's capable, not anyone, but like, it's the league's so deep now. Any 14, 18, the top 18 teams are capable of winning the championship, which is exciting from a fan perspective. But when the bigger markets aren't making it through to the final, you're not getting viewers. You're not getting people paying attention to basketball in itself. So it's like, you got to pick what you want. Do you want, more competition, or do you want more star players, within in the final? And they are getting the balance right, I believe. I think, you want to promote competition. You want to promote, a fair play as well within the team. So I think, it's quite good for the league, but I also think it's good for the fans as well.
Yeah, I think the league is better set up next year now than it was last year. Off the back of last year, we thought that the Celtics may repeat, could even see it being bigger than that and more dominant than that. However,
hoping for that.
I was hoping for it as a Celtics fan, but I probably had the blinders on a little bit. A little bit of bias there, but if you look at what OKC have done from where they've been consistently, like fifth in the Northwest, not qualifying for the playoffs until 2022, when they actually got Chet Holmgren was second pick in the draft that year for them, and since then they then won the first Northwest Conference. They lost in the conference semifinals to the Mavs, obviously, who went all the way to the NBA Finals. And then this year, they're obviously first in Northwest again, and they're the NBA champions. So the last couple of seasons since they've brought Chet Holmgren onto their books, they've just gone from strength to strength. So we spoke about it with the Celtics last year. They could repeat. Very strong shout for OKC. This young team playing together and the intensity, if they can keep it going, and it's hard. We know 82 game season, it's incredibly hard to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then to keep everyone fit through 3 sets of game sevens, that's the mountain. But they've just got to do the marathon first.
Yeah. Facts. They've got the depth. And I think even going into the draft as well, they've got 2 players. They've got 2 picks in the first round. So you know they're going to add more not star players, but more quality to the team. You know, more depth to the team as well. So they're not stopping. Like they're a very well run oil machine. Like, you know, Daniel Presti has done an amazing job. Honestly, like being able to construct the team he has. You know, we've got to give him credit for the team of KD, Westbrook, and James Harden in the past. But then to go through that period where you have 3-star players who could have won OKC the championship, who didn't, and now you've gotten a new set of players, young players who are hungry, who are talented as well, and you still have even more to add on the draft. Man, credit to him, man. Dan Presti.
I was surprised when I read today that it's their first championship since the franchise moved from Seattle. I just had in my head that they'd won one because they'd had that era where they had Durant and Westbrook, and I feel like there was someone else as well.
Yeah, Harden
as well.
I said now Westbrook. I mean, my apologies, Sam Presti.
Yeah, I just had it in my head that team had delivered a title. They must have got close.
Yeah, they got close. Yeah, they made it to the finals with they played LeBron.
Had the Cavs.
Yeah, they played the Cavs. No, sorry, not the Cavs. Miami with LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh. Like, I mean, that's a 3-headed monster in itself. So yeah, and they were a really young team at the time. So it's a shame they actually never went back to the NBA Finals. But I think that's just how competitive the league is. Now to come back and still, Sam Presti, he's a genius, man. Honestly, he's a genius.
Yeah, to rebuild that again, get them competing again. And this time, obviously, they've got the championship under the belt. You've got the team, a young team again in place, but you've got the championship under the belt now. So maybe more likely that, you know, you never know with these American sports, things can change quite quickly, but maybe more likely that players will stick around.
Oh, for sure.
They certainly can change quickly. This is trade season now, but trade season kind of has been capped off. It kicked off with the Anthony Edwards switching with Doncic trade. Doncic obviously going to the Lakers. It's been bookended by Kevin Durant going to the Houston Rockets from Phoenix Suns, which is a massive trade, given Houston Rockets this year where second seed in the West. It's what does that star power do to them, and what level does he raise in the locker room for next year?
Mate, I'm excited. You know, and Houston should be excited as well. Like, you've got KD, who's still at 35. I mean, to be fair, 35, but still playing at a very high level. Also, you still got, you know, Ime Udoka, who is, you know, the captain of the ship. Like, he's a brilliant coach. Like, he was a massive loss to the Celtics. I know they won the championship, but I actually feel if Ime Udoka was still at the Celtics, they probably would have gone back to back. I'm fairly confident they would have gone back to back. He's that good of a coach. He tried to get the best out of Jalen Green. You know, Jalen Green, it was his first playoff. Probably too young, probably too raw. He will be a good player. But obviously, you know, tough decisions had to be made. He's playing for you know, the Suns now, but I think it's exciting times for Houston Rockets. I know they haven't got that much depth now.
Not now that they traded a couple of players out to get him.
I know. And what, they've got to trade like 5 picks as well. Like, you can't, not much wiggle room unless they go into the free agency. And there are quite, some brilliant players in there who are free agents. You've got James Harden. They could reunite with KD again. I mean, you could have Westbrook, someone coming off the bench, almost have an OKC, reunion, on that squad. But I still think, having KD, you've always got a chance. I mean, I know it didn't work out in Phoenix Suns, but I think that team probably had a lot more going on than just the players.
Yeah, so we've actually got the NBA draft this Thursday. Well, yeah, it's this Wednesday night, so in a couple of days' time.
Wow, that quick after the finals.
It's that quick, and then the season doesn't actually kick off again until October, late October. So we've got a few months break in the off season. But the big thing that we're looking forward to this Wednesday night, Thursday morning UK time, is Cooper Flag getting signed by the Dallas Mavericks.
They rigged that, man.
Allegedly. They've got allegedly. Please say allegedly. Don't want the channel to get taken down. So, Joel, obviously there is a conspiracy that allegedly the NBA want LA Lakers and New York Knicks to have the most prominent franchises. It's where the most eyeballs are. It's where the biggest following are for those teams.
Nice to know that all sports have their conspiracy theories, but
exactly. Yeah, NBA is not any different to that. And they got Luka Doncic from the Mavs. Like, why would the Mavs get rid of a generational talent in Luka Doncic? No one knows. All the reasons given are just ridiculous. That the coach didn't like him, thought he was too fat, blah, blah, blah. Despite his sublime scoring record, some of the best scoring statistics since records were created in the NBA.
I'm making the final just the season before that as well.
So the conspiracy theory is that the league made the Mavs trade him out to the Lakers to give the Lakers the superstar, but they would give the Mavs the number one pick. The Mavs' chance of getting, because it's done basically in a ballot almost. The Mavs' chance in that ballot was 1.8% of getting the number one pick, and they got it. So their chance was 1.8%. So it was never going to happen. And then it did happen, and it just so happened to be who the Cooper Flag has been raved about for the last 3 years, because he's been playing against NBA All-Stars in various guises, like US teams, junior teams, Olympic warm-up teams, where they do these like practice games and things. And he's been raved about all throughout his high school and college career. He's going to be potentially the face of the NBA for the next 10 years. And the Mavericks have got him.
Facts.
So they sold their soul to get him. Is that what we're saying?
Who knows? Like, crazier things have happened. So, although I don't think crazier things have happened in basketball, that
would be pretty crazy.
That trade caught us all by surprise.
Yeah,
so.
that was.
So that's this Wednesday night, and season kicking off again in October. So we'll have a little look after the draft next week, and then we'll give the basketball a little bit of a pause until the autumn when season kicks off again, and then it's 82 games.
Start of the slog.
The start of the slog, indeed. So on we go to golf. Fresh off the back of the US Open, is followed by one of the PGA's flagship events, the Travelers. The leaderboard was absolutely stacked all throughout the weekend. With it being major season and with this being a flagship event, it was pegged to have all of the big hitters involved, and they were throughout the weekend. What we were very excited to see as English golf fans was Tommy Fleetwood in with a shout, 3-stroke lead going into the final day. Most beautiful stroke in golf. It would have been justice and so sweet if he'd have won it. And he's only gone and been beaten to the post. I say beaten, maybe he lost it, but beaten to the post by the US Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley.
Is he Ryder Cup captain, is he?
He's Ryder Cup captain, and he's just played himself into the team.
Right, okay. Yeah, I saw that. I saw the headline about him giving them a headache with the win. But I'd assumed, I don't know what I'd assumed, but that They just didn't want to pick him, but they kind of had to. But right, okay, so he's the captain, is he? And that gives them a problem. Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
he picks the side. Captain picks the 12.
yeah, sure.
But
yeah.
what you can do is you can have 8 automatic qualifiers, and then you can pick 4, or you can do 10 and 2. You choose basically however many you want. But in fairness, they usually have more that are weighted by ranking points than they do actual captain's picks. Captain just picking their mates.
Yeah. When Tiger Woods doesn't have enough ranking points, basically.
Yeah, or Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, like we saw in the last Ryder Cup, and that didn't bode too well for them.
No,
so what it's done in terms of the Ryder Cup standings is it's put Keegan Bradley now into 9th position. So he probably won't pick himself. The last Ryder Cup captain to play was Arnold Palmer in 1960 or 70 something. So it's not been done recently, but until that point it was done frequently. So it's like 25 times or something it's happened. So
I think I'm surprised that he's the captain because he's not very old, is he?
He's not that old, no. Nor is Luke Donald. However, Luke Donald is older. Yeah.
He's been out of the elite level picture for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like...
Well, Keegan Bradley was starting to go that way. He was starting to go that way and has had a little bit of a renaissance this year since being named Ryder Cup captain.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about this to avoid the pain of reliving Tommy Fleetwood's sad look.
And he lost it. Three putt. He was
2 up with 4 to go.
2 up with 4 to go. He bogeyed 2 of the last 3 holes to lose it. So yeah, he lost it, but Keegan Bradley stayed in the fight and applied the necessary pressure to actually win. Keegan Bradley, meanwhile, birdied 2 of the last 4 holes. So that's the reversal in fortunes.
Yeah, I mean, Fleetwood's interview afterwards, he was just saying it's. And I think I thought this was right. He wasn't really hitting bad shots. He was just making bad decisions. I don't know if that's he's not won on the tour, has he? He's not.
He's never won he's never won stateside. No, never won on the PGA Tour.
And quite often there's reasons. There's reasons for that when golfers have those types of records, and unfortunately those things come to the fore on the final day in the last 4 or 5 holes, and it seems to have come home to roost again.
Yeah, definitely has. But yeah, meanwhile, Keegan Bradley, he was top 10 at the PGA Championship, then he was top 10 at the Memorial, got through, which is no mean feat, at the US Open, made the cut at the US Open, and was tied 33rd, and then has won at Travellers.
So yeah,
it would
he's
be
enjoying his golf for the moment.
He is, and if he continues that sort of form for the rest of the season, and you look at the other players that are actually in the reckoning, you've got some real rookies in there. I mean, Mav McNeely's having a brilliant season and is just rising up the rankings for the last couple of years. But like Brian Harman, obviously we know won the Open, but Andrew Novak, Sam Burns, Tom Hogue, Cam Young, Dan Berger are the next names on the list, and they're not a bigger name, and they're not as on form as Keegan Bradley. So stranger things have happened than a US Ryder Cup captain playing, that's for sure.
It would add a lot. I think I'd be interested to see how they handle that.
It absolutely does. But you've got Scotty Scheffler, Schauffele, JJ Spawn, and Keegan Bradley at the moment as all but McIlroy winners of the last set of 5 majors, because Bryson DeChambeau's there, obviously winning the major last year as well. So
right, okay.
They have got a stacked top 5. Then beyond that, the depth gets a little bit weak. And we spoke last week, obviously, about the depth of the European team.
Yeah, there's lots of. I mean, on the Travellers, there's a lot of American flags at the top of that leaderboard. Like I'm looking at like Justin Thomas being up there. Like I feel like it's been a while since he's been competitive. That'll give him a real
Justin Thomas.
I
miss Justin Thomas.
Yeah, he's not really been around for a while. I feel like 2-3 years ago, you'd have said he's one of the best golfers around.
Yeah.
Yeah, couple of major wins, I think.
Yeah,
Couple of major wins.
What happened
Really?
to it?
No,
Nothing. Just
Just
golf's
like
incredibly competitive.
that
Like
kind of game, isn't it?
Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy kind of have happened to everyone for the last 3 or 4 years.
Mm. Scheffler's there again, isn't he? 12 under again for the weekend.
And played bad golf, as he said. Playing bad golf and you're in top tens at some of the biggest ranking tournaments then.
Yeah, he was particularly unhappy with the third round, wasn't he? I mean, his first and final rounds shot the lights out, really, but didn't do himself any favours in the interim.
Right, so we've got the Open is in 3 weeks' time now at Royal Portrush. It is, yeah. 3 weeks' time at Royal Portrush. So that's the big one that we're looking forward to next. Next sport. Give me another sport.
Well, the cricket's just closed for the day.
Closed for the day. Day 4. India touring England. Playing in Headingley in Yorkshire.
On a very flat pitch. Is the pitch flat? Is that fair?
I think it's fair. It's funny, isn't it? You get a different take from both sides. However they want to go into the changing room and give that spin. India are obviously saying, yeah, pitch is staying low, really hard to bat on, whilst England are batting. England are saying, yeah, looks like a good batting wicket. It's not deteriorated too much. And yeah, you just read between the lines, basically. England want to have that positive mentality that this is a good pitch still to bat on, despite it being a day 5 pitch. What's interesting about this is that it will be the second highest ever run chase at Headingley if they get it. Also, the last 6 wins have all come from teams that have batted second. So
At Headingley.
At Headingley, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
interesting.
Is promising.
I mean, it'd be a hell of a chase tomorrow to get free because they're going to have to. They're not going to be able to bumble along.
No, last time it happened though, Joel, was Ben Stokes versus Australia and Jack Leach. Ably supported by Jack Leach in 2019, the Headingley Test of the Ashes in 2019, with a memorable chase. Mainly by Ben Stokes' enormous century. But that was the last time it happened. And Ben Stokes is still to bat with England none down.
No, none down. I think that's really important going into tomorrow. That was the key, wasn't it? I think
as James said, massive final 20 minutes.
The WhatsApp group about that, weren't we? Yeah, so getting to the end of the day with all your wickets intact, that means you can come out tomorrow and you're not on the back foot. They're going to be coming out thinking, how quickly can we score? Like, can we be aggressive? Which is what this England team wants to be. They want to be aggressive on the front foot and not kind of worrying about how much it's swinging, whether they lose a wicket, if that completely knocks their confidence or whatever. I feel like they're in the best position they can be. They've really had to grind through. They've had a couple of let-offs with drop catches and stuff like that. Or did they drop Brooks on in the first innings?
I think there's been 8 drop catches between the two teams in the last innings.
So yeah, they've really they've just been clinging on to India all the way through it. I feel like so now they can they've just got to focus on what they've got to do now tomorrow, and I think that's the best position for this England team to be in. They like chasing; that's the mentality that they enjoy. So yeah, it could be a good day of cricket tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not really, and apparently there's still some tickets available, and only £20 for an adult to get in to Headingley.
I wish Wimbledon was that cheap.
But India will be saying they've got to chase down 350 still. We've got to take 10 wickets. Let's get a couple of early wickets in the first hour and games in our.
Oh yeah, they'll be the great thing about tomorrow is they'll both fancy themselves
really well.
India will fancy themselves to keep below 35 runs a wicket, won't they? Like they'll be shooting for way below that. Whereas England on the other hand will fancy themselves to run anything down, like say at Headingley, English conditions, all that stuff.
I don't think the score is the mountain. I think it's keeping all 10 wickets. that's going to be England's challenge. England could do it 3 wickets down, or they could be all out for 65. That's the way this England team are playing at the moment. They live and die by the swords. To their benefit, it's entertaining cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket purists would like to see them grind out either a draw or scrape to the win at the end of the day, getting those final 350 runs. I'm probably a little bit between the two. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of a siege mentality and seeing a little bit more blocking. However, on a day 5 pitch that could potentially deteriorate and turn, you can only block for so long before one catches the edge. So you are better to get those runs on the board, and Stokes knows far better than I.
I just think that top 6 batting lineup for England just looks great. I think it looks really well balanced. Crawley and Duckett are, seasoned openers now. And then you've got like Pope. That first innings for Pope was a big moment for him. Was this a recall? Has he been missing a few tests? But he's certainly not been playing brilliantly.
It was, and Bethel's been playing on the tour of New Zealand, and then Pope came back in against Zimbabwe and hit a massive 170 something, I think he got, and has basically then retained his spot. Rather than have the new boy Bethel come in. But Bethel's never scored 100. Pope did it just 2 weeks ago. So he's got a lot of credit in the bank. He's also the vice captain, Pope. So he carries a lot of weight in the team and also in Ben Stokes' ear too. He's his number 2. So it would have taken a lot to drop him. And I think he was pretty undroppable after the Zimbabwe game. However much of a preseason friendly that was, runs on the board are still incredibly valuable in terms of the team's momentum, and also in terms of their belief in you and your belief in your own batting too.
Yeah, be a grandstand finish tomorrow.
That'll do for today. If you enjoyed listening along, you can like and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and YouTube, and you can get in touch on email at allsportspods@gmail.com. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.